Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Babies with Knives. I'm your hostess, Alice Peng, aka Lala the Twiddle on the boards. I'm with me today is Gerry Saracco. He's going to be our guest GM. This is our guest game segment. It is going to be for our new free for all segment. Playing along with me is going to be Wilfredo, Timothy Kirk, and Tim Lamaster. Tim's up there looking serious. So we're going to. So the first segment we're going to be doing right now is a character creation segment for a game called Simply Supers. It is a 7-page game that you can pick up on DriveThruRPG. I'll have a link down below. And it is for it's a pay what you want game, a very simplistic, fun little thing we're going to give a shot to. So Gerry, why don't you take us away and start walking us through some character creation?
Okay, so hero creation is really simple. It's basically it's a 3-step process. The first, of course, is your character's origin story, which, the way the rules are set up, you want to, work on it with the GM. So what I'll do is I'll go around with everybody and we'll discuss your character, the basic origin of who you are and how you got your powers. So, Tim, why don't we go ahead and start with you?
All right. I was just rereading the rules to give me an idea of what I wanted, and I'm thinking of somebody who controls the weather to a significant extent. I was inspired this weekend because of the hurricane hitting. Concerned for people there, hoping they're safe. But I thought a weather controller would be an interesting addition to a team. So I figured that my character was caught in a hurricane in a boat, alone, sailboat, and it tore apart his sailboat and left him almost drowning in the water until the eye of the storm passed over him, at which time a spirit, an elemental spirit, offered him the power to control the weather so long as he served the benefit of mankind. So he's supposed to be helping humankind clean up the planet, do good things, rise above their petty concerns, which may mean stopping bank robbers in the meantime, just as an inspiration. And that's my basic origin.
Wilfredo, you said you already had a character. Why don't we go ahead and go over what you came up with?
Okay. My concept is the Traveler. His name is Simon Jones. He was a typical average guy, nothing special about his life. In fact, he was pretty bored with his life. Until one day, a cosmic entity called the Scribe contacted him and told him that about the existence of the multiverse, and that he wanted to learn more about the other universes. However, the Scribe could not travel to those universes by itself. It was bound to its own universe. So what he wanted to do was to find someone to do it for him. So he struck a deal with Jones. He gave him the power to travel to and survive in other worlds, and in exchange, Jones will have to report his discoveries to him. And they agreed. Ever since then, Jones has been exploring all of creation, the past, the future, other universes. And technically, he's not a superhero. He's not supposed to intervene, just observe and report. However, being a decent human being, he obviously cannot resist helping when necessary. Like, if he sees people in danger, he's not going to go, I cannot help them. He can and will help. That's what makes him a hero. And that is my basic. That is the concept basically of the traveler.
Okay. And Alice?
I'm looking at, given the team that we've got put together, a character named Mirage. She is a mentalist. She is going to be able to telepathically connect the team, so we will not need comm links. I will be doing basically similar things to Miss Martian. Origin story is that she fell ill. She was a high school student that fell ill. She, with some sort of strange type of cancer or sickness, she battled it for many years. Around the age of 24, she was expected to die when a benevolent person came and had the ability to give her a blood transfusion. The blood transfusion had something in it from the donor that activated something within her, and since that point she's basically become Mirage, where she can fade in and out of reality. So she phases. She's a mentalist. She's transcended this reality and works with her mind.
Okay. Sounds good.
So,
okay, so now we got the basic origins out of the way. What we're going to do now is we go into your superpowers and your weaknesses for each character. So now, normally, you choose up to 3 superpowers. You can actually have 2, which helps with your toughness and resistance, which is in the third step. So, because basically everyone has the same amount of toughness and resistance to start off with. Some people can be more powerful, but you sacrifice some of your actual superpowers to get that way. So first we'll go ahead with Tim Kirk. So you said you wanted to have weather powers, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So I'm assuming the first power you want to have is weather control.
Yes. I put weather control at 4 dice 6.
Okay.
And I took light at 3 dice 6.
Okay. So just for the people who are, sorry, Tim, didn't mean to interrupt. Just for the people who are watching, when you choose your powers, you divide 7d6 between up to 3 powers with no more than 5d6 in any one given power. Okay, with Lafredo, you're next.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, what kind of powers were you looking at for your character?
Okay, I took 3 powers. The first power is obviously dimensional travel, because he needs to get from one universe to another.
Right.
The second power is shapeshifting. That helps him to blend in. For example, if he is among aliens, he can simply change form into another race and will not be noticed. And finally, he has translation, so that he can understand and speak any language. And the dice, I split them. He has 3 dice of dimensional travel, 3 dice of shapeshifting, and only 1 dice of translation. That's a total of 7.
Okay. Sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
So what about you for powers, Alice?
I currently have 2 powers listed. I have mentalism and phase shift. Mentalism at 4d6, phase shift at 3d6.
Okay. All right, so that covers you guys. Any thoughts yet, Tim, or on
Actually, can I
Starville?
change my mind or have to stick with this character? I know the one popped in my head just now. Or am I changing my mind too much?
Yeah, if you want to change something, we still have time to do that.
All right, so here's another character I had an interesting idea. It came up in a discussion on a board discussion I heard once. He has basically this character has one superpower, and that's mind control, but only works with himself. And the aspect of the character, I do with the character, he's like the most disciplined man on the planet. He used to be a loser. He used to be this kind of guy that everybody's met these guys. They can't keep a job. They can't get their act together. They're always behind on stuff. They're just, they never grew out of high school. And basically, this guy's the idea is that he was like just likable. One good thing he had going for him, he's likable. Everyone just liked him. He had a very nice personality. Everybody really liked hanging out with him. He's like the kind of guy you always invite to a party because he's always a fun guy. But he got to the point where he was 30 years old and he was running out of friends to borrow money from or he was too much behind on the rent and his life. He didn't know what he's gonna do. So he's up late one night watching this like one of these like 3 o'clock in the morning infomercials you hear on like that you see sometimes. And this guy's talking about the power of self-hypnosis, and he's going on about it. So this guy takes what little money he has, reads the book, gets in front of the mirror, and says, "You're gonna lose weight. You're gonna work out every day until you lose weight." Very next day, he starts working out every day until he loses weight. Then he just keeps doing this, and his body starts improving. He finds out he has the ability to make himself do that. You know, we all have this problem where we want to do this thing, but we always give up. This guy says I'm going to do it, and he does it all the time. He never stops. So he goes from being broke and unemployed to being like rich and like perfect physical shape. And that's where it starts. But then the next level of his development, he's just walking down the street one day and he sees somebody getting mugged, like a girl getting attacked. So he runs up to them, he tries to fight him off, and because he's in good shape, he manages to do it. But he gets worked up a little bit. So he realizes I got to protect myself. So he takes that discipline, another thing, and starts learning martial arts. And he starts working out and learning whatever appropriate martial art, I'm thinking probably the one that requires the most discipline one he picked. Maybe like Kung Fu or something like that. And in just a couple years becomes like really good at it. And then he starts seeing all the way everything's so chaotic in the world and realizes, well, I'm disciplined, I need to discipline everyone else. So he has money, he has some gadgets, he has some martial arts ability, so he's pretty much your non-powered adventurer. The only downside to him is that he's kind of a dick. he's one of the, you ever meet those people that are really disciplined? They don't think like, why don't you get, he's kind of like the guy you really get to hate because he's so perfect. He's kind of like that. He's kind of a jerk about it, you know. I mean, he'll help people and stuff, but at the same time, he'll look at you as like, "What's the matter with you?" You know, kind of guy that does like, we get up there on stage and be one of those motivational speakers, but he's got a bit of a self-righteous attitude to him. So, and I'm thinking like he wouldn't have any. His only power might be like a powerful set of mental defense because he's so disciplined. There was just one Batman Brave and the Bold where the Joker got like incredible cosmic powers, and the Batman tricks him into, well, go into my mind and please don't drive me crazy. And he goes to his mind and he finds he's in Batman's mind. Batman's mind is extremely disciplined. So disciplined mind is a powerful mind. So he might have that, but other than that, he'd probably have some sort of protective body armor. I'm thinking a pair of twin fighting sticks. Kind of like Kick-Ass, except capable.
So you're leaning more towards someone who is basically, through their mental discipline, has developed a lot of physical skills?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So yeah, that would actually fit under like the mass vigilante type, which is so those are a little different than the powered ones. Not really that much. So basically, what you do is you choose what they call them abilities, which would be like your martial arts, for instance. Your body armor would be actually a gadget that you could have. So, so you said you wanted body armor, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so that would be one of your abilities or gadgets you could have, and then you would just assign a certain amount of dice to it to represent um, how effective it is.
So I could put 3 dice on martial arts
Okay,
and like 3 dice on the powered armor, on the heavy, on the not the powered armor, the body armor, and leave me
okay.
1 point for like mental defense.
Yeah, if you want to take that, that's fine. Now,
Okay.
so now since you have an armored suit, which is more of a gadget, you are allowed to assign up to 3 different functions to it. One of them, of course, would be the protective aspect. But if you want to like have it do anything else besides that, you could do that. You could do so. Like if you want to have like a grappling hook, so you could, like
Yeah.
Batman has.
Okay. Grappling hook works, and some sort of sensory abilities, like infrared vision or UV vision or something like that. Night vision would work.
Okay, so what you should do is write down for your armor for your suit. You would write down like the functions. So you could write down, and they all basically work at the same dice level that your armor is. So you put 3 dice into it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So each of these abilities would function at 3 dice if you have to roll for them.
Okay. All right. So I got martial arts 3D, body armor, protective, of course, and a swing line grappling hook, night vision, and then mental defense.
Okay. Okay. So now we got the powers out of the way. Next, we want to each character chooses a weakness. Now, I know this came up in discussion on the Discord server. Normally, when you have superpowers and the character chooses a weakness, it's usually a weakness that would actually affect you more in the way of like kryptonite or something like that. And I know Tim Kirk and Wilfredo and we were discussing how that doesn't always accurately reflect how superpower characters are. Like we were talking off camera about Spider-Man, and a sample character in the book is Spider-Man, and his weakness is that he's susceptible to getting the common cold, which actually happened to him once in the comics, but doesn't really affect him. So, as I said, normally you would choose a weakness that would affect you in a way Kryptonite would affect Superman. But since I know that's not exactly always good reflection of a character, if you have a different suggestion, we can go that way. If you want to use a weakness more in line with the way the vigilantes do it, which is stress, you can replace. I'm going to let you replace resistance with stress when we do the finishing touches. So just something to think about. If you want to do it the way the book has it, I'm fine with that too. It doesn't really matter. So Tim Kirk, you have you thought of what kind of weakness your character has?
Right back.
I've decided it's basically chemical toxic waste,
Okay.
like an oil spill. Like if I were in contact with an oil spill, it would be a bad situation. I couldn't use my power. Or
Okay.
if I were exposed to other toxic fumes or something else, I would begin limited and start becoming ill. Because my character's been imbued with nature power, basically.
Right.
So the opposite is the damage that humanity has done. So it's a balancing act.
Okay. So basically, your weaknesses will be to toxic waste. Okay. So just annotate that for your character. I guess we're going to do you next, Alice, since Wilfredo and
I'm looking
Tim.
at some type of either radiation, chemotherapy, or specifically looking at anti-tumor drugs, so anti-tumor antibiotics, streptomyces-based medication, stuff like that. So things that would tumor treatment types of chemo. So radiation's what I have for short at the moment.
Oh, okay. All right. Wilfredo, what about you for a weakness?
Okay. The traveler has a secret as his weakness. And the secret is the fact that he is an interdimensional traveler. And allow me to explain why this is a weakness. First of all, just the fact that most people don't believe in the existence of multiple universes. So if you were to tell them that you're from another universe, they will just think you are crazy.
That's
Second,
not really the type of weakness that this game asked for, though. Wilfredo, while it is a good complication and a good complication in systems like Hero or Disadvantage in Supers, it is not appropriate for the type that this game is asking for.
There is more to it than that. You will let me finish.
Sorry.
And as I was basically, I am taking the option of using the vigilante weakness for the character, as we were discussing. And second, even if you could convince people that the multiverse exists, that would be shocking and could cause chaos in society, because it will be because of the implications of existential implications of it, such as there are other people like us in other universes, and if there are, which one of us is the real one, things like that. In third place, he's technically an illegal alien. So if the government wanted to arrest him for being on Earth without permission on American soil, they could. He's an alien technically, even though he's an American from another universe. And finally, like most alien characters, he's always at the risk of being captured to be experimented on, so they could find out how his powers work. So that's my idea. Of course, if it doesn't work for the game, I can always find something else.
So the reason why secret doesn't work is because the way that Super's weaknesses work for the system is that you need an out-of-action play. You're not giving an out-of-action play unless this is the worst secret in the world that everyone knows, but you think it's a secret. Now, certainly Gerry can change that, but based on the way that the rule for the system works, it doesn't give you the mechanic that weakness requests of you.
Well, yeah, but I did say that we could switch out the weakness with the superpowered characters.
Yeah, you did, by all means. So it depends on if you think it'll work on the out of action. The thing, like I said, is based on the way that he's talking about for secret, it is basically, it would need to be like one of those worst kept secret type things for that system to ever kick in for him.
Well, I mean, he did
like him obviously being alien.
Yeah, I mean, since he said that the government would come after him, that kind of does fit in with like the vigilante weakness, where you could be wanted by the police. Mm-hmm. Yeah, where you could be wanted by the police. So, I mean, it probably wouldn't come up in this session, but I mean, like if I was running a regular game, I would say that probably there's a secret organization that is hunting your character.
I think that it might be better if it's renamed to the fact that your weakness is that you are an alien, rather than your character or an extra dimensional traveler, rather than the fact that your weakness is a secret. I think there's a very different connotation, because what Gerry's suggesting is basically activating you as that extra dimensional character, but that means that that's your weakness. Your secret isn't your weakness.
Yeah, that I do agree with. It would probably be better to give it a different name than just a secret. But I mean, as a weakness though, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, as a weakness for that, the hunting thing, that sounds great. It's a because it gives you the out of action mechanic, but at that point his super weakness would be that he is an extra dimensional traveler or he is an alien. Either one works on that statement of weakness. Do you understand the difference, Wilfredo?
Yes, I do. It works for me too.
Cool.
Okay. So Tim Lemaster, did you have a
And
chance
Jerry,
to
I
think
am so
about it?
sorry. I didn't mean to overstep. I got a little distracted, and then wrong thing kicked in. I should have just kept my mouth shut and let you deal.
No, it's okay.
We still like you, Alex.
Thanks.
So Tim Lemaster, do you have a concept for a weakness for your character? So now, because since you chose a device, yours works differently than theirs. So this is where I'll go into a little bit more. So now, normally, when you're playing a character who's either a vigilante, they call them mass vigilantes, but it covers both Batman and Iron Man types. And Green Lantern would fall under this too. Normally, for your type of character, it would be like being hunted by the police because you're a vigilante, or the fact that you are worried about your friends and family being put in jeopardy by your superhero if your identity is ever discovered. You could also have some kind of traditional weakness like a superhero does, because I'm allowing us to switch it out to fit whatever character concept. But I mean, normally for a vigilante, it's more of a like mental. They're more mental and emotional based weaknesses in that, because you're not really super powered, so you don't have anything that affects your powers per se.
Well, probably
So, Tim,
kind of like
can I ask a
Batman, where you
question?
get
May I ask a question about your character?
me.
Yes.
Yes.
So I heard two concepts in the current concept, not this disregarding the first concept. But the new concept, you were saying that this character's power was the ability to mind control himself, correct?
Yeah.
So so um but you want to be a vigilante because I know three different characters off the top of my head that basically have the power to control mental control themselves or control their own bodies. One is in the Superpowers book. One is anyways. So the way that you can approach it is that your power is cell manipulation, and you didn't know that you could control your body's cell manipulation abilities until you started basically telling yourself, do this, do that. So you don't have to do it as a vigilante if vigilante is confusing you or doesn't seem like the right fit, etc., etc. Because it sounds to me like you can have a great superhero tab, a great set of superpowers from from self-control, the power of controlling yourself. And there is a Marvel character, Brandon and I were just talking about that character 3 weeks ago or so, and I don't remember the character name.
Well, DC had Flex Mentallo, who I think is very similar.
Flex is very similar as well, yes.
There was a short-lived DC title that actually read all Peter Cannon Thunder that basically had powers, but not because he had a metagene, because he was unable to unlock the mental powers that everyone has. I get ideas from the weirdest sources. Okay, yeah, I have a chaotically organized. I have a organized brain that occasionally slips into chaos mode.
So if you want to be a vigilante, go for it. I just wanted to give you the alternate option since you were talking like you wanted to have.
Well, he might actually be a vigilante in the style of like the 19 Batman, where he works for the authorities and stuff like that. And his whole idea is about order and wanting things to work right. So he sees crime as disorder. He wants an order. He could go so far as to start becoming like, wanting. It depends on how far he went. it might be a struggle of his own humanity at this point, because one idea I had about the character is that the original is that he's gone from being this very disciplined, very successful person, but also being kind of cold and distant from everyone. Whereas his earlier self, his original self, was, a kind of a failure, but everybody liked him. He just had this great personality that everybody liked about him. He made people laugh. This new version of him isn't like that. So it's almost like he has he's called it multiple personality disorder. Almost like he has the original personality is deep in his psyche. And under the right condition, it might pop out again, and then all of a sudden the character changes, his personality changes considerably. And he wouldn't know why. It's like, why is he? I don't know. It's like that Batman Brave and the Bold episode. There's one where he gets split into 3 different Batman, and one guy's just real organized, disciplined, and the other guy wants to fight. And the third version of Batman just to hang out, watch TV, and eat nachos.
I love that show.
But yeah, if you want to be a gadgeteer, go ahead and continue.
Yeah, but a lot of his weakness would be that might be. It's a tough one. His mental weakness might be that he just gets that disorder bothers him. So he has a bit of, you could say he's almost obsessive compulsive disorder. Kind of like Monk from the TV series. Not as bad as that, but he will, if he's in the headquarters, he's going to get annoyed if things aren't neat as a pin. Like you walk into his house and it is like, there's a place for everything and everything's in its place. So his only weakness would be he would be distracted by things that aren't right. He might be compelled to fix something if he doesn't like the way it looks, or like I said, he'll start getting on. He might start bossing other people around if they're not doing it the way they should. So if he has any kind of weakness, it's going to be basically a really hardcore perfectionist. And to the point where you really don't want to be around him much longer. Other than that, might be some real life issues. He knows a lot of book stuff, but he doesn't know quite what's going on in the street. So there's some things he might not know what to deal with. But yeah, if that works, Mr. Dunn, if that works with the DGM.
Well, I mean, like I said, normally it's more something where it would affect you more in a way that would because basically your weakness is something that can take you out of action, make you unable to like function in the situation. So like an example would be like if say your character was married, right? And you're fighting the bad guy, and then you find out your wife has a bomb attached to her. You're going to focus on disarming that bomb and saving your wife, leaving your teammates to fight the villain by themselves. Or if you're hunted by the police, you're fighting the bad guy, the police show up and they try to arrest you. So now you're caught between trying not to be arrested and stopping the bad guy, So it's stuff like that. That a weakness focus on. It's a little bit more precise than how other games do it. I wouldn't say it's an imperfect system because it's a very simple system, but it kind of helps if you try to be more focused.
Is it assumed I've been doing the crime fighting for a while? I'm new.
Well, I was going to have you all already know each other just for simplicity.
Okay, so I early in my career, I was helping to bust up a gang, and I found evidence that there was some corrupt police officers that were on a take. And I managed to get the information to the police and went to Internal Affairs. And the cops did get arrested, but there was one detective or somebody within the police that did get caught, but he lost a lot of money. and it hurt his career. So I got somebody in the police department is out to get me. So this guy's always showing up and finding a way to he's trying to find something on me. He's always maybe he's trying to get his own task force together to take me out, or he just wants to get back at me for screwing him up, and because he thinks I might know more. So he wants to get rid of me so I don't expose him as well. And so, yeah, I basically have maybe the corrupt police officer is out to get me. So I have instead of having the friend on the force, I have the enemy on the force. Or
Okay,
maybe
so
somebody like a DA or something that just something like that could work maybe.
Okay, can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
Did you ever see the TV show Person of Interest?
No.
Okay, so you did?
Mm-hmm. I watched
So
every episode.
So I'm sure you remember Alice, the group HR from that. So Tim, what I'm going to suggest here is in Person of Interest, there was a whole large group of corrupt cops, and they were known as HR. And what happened was initially in the show, the main characters came into conflict with them, and they actually turned one of them against the group. And they caused them a lot of damage, but not all of them were ever arrested. So what I was going to suggest was with you is that, so you came into you found out about these corrupt cops, you turned them in, but it turned out that the group that they were part of was actually larger than you are aware of, and so the remainder of the group is trying to take you down, but they're not as powerful as they used to be, so they can't actually, it's harder for them to do because they have to actually dig up dirt on you because you...
Or make it look like an accident.
Yeah, right, because you did turn in a bunch of corrupt cops to internal affairs, so you do have friends on the force, but you also have enemies, so it's kind of like a balance.
Yeah, it works.
And so basically they try to, sometimes they try to frame you for crimes, and so they're basically at this moment, you know that they're out there trying to mess with you, and you're not sure who they are, and meanwhile they're working behind the scenes to build a case against you with all these frame-ups. How does that sound?
That sounds great.
Okay. You could even use the name HR if you want.
You ever saw a show called Burn Notice?
Yep.
Burn Notice was awesome.
Yeah, I remember the one where they this one guy's giving this one girl owns a yogurt store, and they're giving her a hard time and stuff. So he decides to set the guy up as an undercover cop, so the gang would take him out, And so they create these badges and everything and seal it up on a wall in this house so the guys would find it. And it turns out he actually was an undercover officer, which is a federal officer. It's like, oh shit.
So the one thing that I will...
He really is undercover.
So, in regards to the system, since we're playing around with it and we're trying to teach people, the one reason why I will, I'm totally cool with Jerry wanting to change it based on the discussion on Discord. However, it does specifically go against two aspects of the way that the system is designed. One, resistance, which you have two defense stats in this game. You have toughness and you have resistance. Resistance only use is this represents how many rounds the hero can spend in the presence of their weakness before declared out of action. So certain types of us saying Wilfredo's an alien, that can ask or an alien or an extra-dimensional creature, that there's ways to activate that and still activate resistance. I'm interested in how Jerry intends to activate resistance for Tim LeMaster's weakness.
Well, because he's a vigilante, he actually has what's known as stress. And since Wilfredo's character is taking...
That's true. I apologize. I forgot that he chose to do vigilante.
Right. And so now, since Wilfredo's character picked a weakness that fits more with Vigilante, I was going to have him replace resistance with stress.
Okay.
And have kind of like a hybrid character, which I've actually played around with when I was designing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we had discussed this on Discord that, if you wanted to take a weakness that's more in line with a Vigilante, that's fine. You would just have to replace resistance with stress because that's the stat that reflects the more mental, emotional. So, like, Alice, you and Tim Kirk, you'll still have resistance,
cool.
But Wilfredo and Tim Lemaster, they'll have stress.
Like I said, I just wanted that explained and declared because we're clearly not going by the way the system is, and we're trying to show how the system works.
So. Well, since that's actually covered in the next section, which I was getting to, I was going to get to it. Yeah, so because then you get to what's known as finishing up, where this is where you actually have the two only stats that a character needs. Your first stat, of course, is toughness, which acts as a form of like hit points. And when you take a critical hit, you remove it from your toughness. Now, everybody starts with 3, except for anyone who only chooses 2 abilities. Mm-hmm. If you have 2 abilities, you're allowed to raise your toughness or resistance to 5.
One of them, yes. You get one of your stats to 5.
Yeah, one or the other, right. Mm-hmm. So now I also need to go over when you're a vigilante like Tim Lemaster is, you start off with a toughness of 2, which you could, which will be increased to 3 because you're wearing a suit that is protective.
Okay.
But if you're outside of your suit, you'd only have a toughness of 2. When you wear the suit, you'd have a toughness of 3. Now, did anyone only have 2 abilities? I think you did, right?
Yeah, I have 2 abilities, so I'm going to take toughness 5, resistance 3.
Okay. All right. I think that. So for that, hold on, let me.
And I clarified my thing to medical radiation to make it, since I was looking along the lines of certain types of chemo-based radiation and such like that, and medication. So.
Okay.
That way, it's not just
any
type of radiation.
So pretty much, do you want to have me describe the rules when we start playing,
yes.
Or? Okay, so yeah, so pretty much then.
Make sure that they all have their stress or their toughness and resistances on the right stats, though, before we can.
Yeah, so let me just go ahead and point out what stress and resistance are, since I didn't actually clarify that. So for characters who have superpower, you have what is known as resistance. This represents how many rounds your character can spend in the presence of that weakness before being declared out of action. And basically what out of action means is that you're unable to act, you could be unconscious, you could be just paralyzed with fear, anything that would affect a person and make them unable to act. And then with stress, for Wilfredo and Tim L, basically it's a little different, because what happens is that when you have stress, it affects you more on a mental and emotional, level. Or in the case of, like, if you're being hunted by someone, it could lead to a physical situation, and it removes you from the main action because you're dealing with that, like trying to evade capture, or if you have a loved one who's threatened or your secret identity is threatened, and it causes you to hesitate long enough to not do anything that could affect the outcome of whatever the situation is, because you're dealing with that stress. So that's pretty much so that's pretty much all character creation. So I guess, Alice, we can.
Yep. So At this point, thank you everyone for watching the character creation for Simply Supers. Stay tuned, and we'll be putting up a video for the the actual play shortly. Bye.
Bye.